At number 10, we have Scylla. This is a monster feared for her brutality. Scylla is a very interesting ocean creature in Greek mythology. She is usually beside the great whirlpool and is a huge danger to those who wish to pass her waters. Out of all the creatures in Greek mythology, her destruction ranks the highest, no questions asked. But she wasn't always this horrendous monster. In one depiction, she was a beautiful maiden, and the fisherman turned god of the sea, Glaucus, fell in love with her. She wasn't interested at all because of the fishy tail, so he turned to Circe to ask for a potion to change her mind. However, Circe loved him and tried to convince him to forget about Scylla, not wanting to punish the man she loved. Circe decided Scylla would suffer for her humiliation. Scylla was then transformed into a monster who had 6 serpentine heads, as well as the head of hounds spouting from her sides. There is no point of trying to escape her because you just can't. She is just too powerful. All the people who tried to pass her are warned, quote, "Sail past, do not engage in a fight, as you will simply not win." At a number 9 spot, we have Qualupalik. The legend of the Qualupalik comes from the Inuit people and their icy Arctic waters. They are actually considered mermaids, but unlike regular mermaids, there is nothing attractive about this creature. These creatures are often depicted having fins just coming out of their heads, back and arms, and their hands are topped with long sharp claws. All of this is enough to strike terror into the hearts of the children that the Qualupalik preys upon. Only these children will catch a glimpse of their face, which resembles a woman's face that had just turned green and bloated from rotting underneath the sea. Those who have sighted the Qualupalik report that these creatures can only be seen for an instant before they are gone. But the children victims would not be as lucky. She would leap out from underneath the water, sink her sharp claws into their flesh, and drag them forward into the water. At our number 8 spot, we have Vodenoi. Hey, look at this weird frogman. He doesn't look too bad. I mean, he seems kind of chill. Wrong. This frog-like creature is called a Vodenoi. It is a water spirit in Slavic mythology. He resembles an old man with a long mossy beard and a face that kind of resembles a frog. He resides in various rivers and lakes, and if you decide to go swimming in one of them without doing the sign of the cross, a Vodenoi will drag you down to the depths to become his slave. When he's really angry, he'll break mills, bridges, dams, and so people end up giving offerings and sacrifices to appease him. In northern Russia, it is believed that the Vodenois have a ruler, Tsar Vodenik, or the Voden Tsar. He is described as an old man armed with a club who can rise to the sky sitting on a black cloud. At our number 7 spot, we have sirens. Originating from Greek mythology, sirens are creatures with enchanting musical voices that lure sailors and unsuspecting people to their doom. They were in fact the daughters of the river god Aeschylus and a muse. Sometimes they're depicted as something similar to mermaids, but in more classic depiction, they had wings. The wings were given to them by Zeus's daughter Persephone after Hades kidnapped her and took her to the underworld. She gave the sirens wings to help locate her. In the oceans, the sirens would sing a song so beautiful that it would lure any kind of man to jump off the boat and swim until the sirens would pull them under or they drowned. At our number 6 spot, we have the Incanyaba. The Incanyaba is a legendary serpent said to be living in a waterfall lake area in the northern forest near Pietermaritzburg. Sorry for the mispronunciation. More commonly in the base of Howick Falls, South Africa. This creature is said to be very large. This creature is said to be a very large serpent, up to 25 feet long, with a horse-like head. It's said they travel in large packs and are carnivorous. They consume almost anything in their paths. It's also said that when they're angry, they cause seasonal storms, more so in the summer months. The Xhosa tribe claims that this creature is said to take flight in the form of a giant tornado to find its mate. They're also associated with unexplained disappearance of domestic animals as well. Right in the hump of our list, we have the bunyip. The bunyip is a creature from the Aboriginal mythology of southeastern Australia, said to lurk in swamps, billabongs, creeks, riverbeds, and waterholes. The name directly translates to devil or evil spirit. Aboriginal peoples used to tell tales of the bunyip that stalked the waterways and ate any prey item that came close. And the creatures had developed a taste for people, mostly children. He is said to be able to alter the water level in his home environment, or he might use ferocious roar to cripple unwelcome visitors. One legend describes the monster hypnotizing a woman and keeping her for several weeks as a slave, until the spell was broken by a large thunderstorm. The amphibious animal was described as having a round head, an elongated neck, and a body resembled that of an ox, hippopotamus, or a manatee. The story originates from the one legend that says that a man named Bunyip broke the rainbow serpent's greatest law by eating his totem animal. Banished from the good spirit, Biami, the man became an evil spirit that lured tribesmen and their livestock into the water so they can eat all of them. What a terrible way to go. At our number 4 spot, we have the serene crone. The serene crone is a monster from Scottish Gaelic folklore. It is a colossal sea monster that can consume anything in the ocean, but likes to toy with its prey first. In some accounts, it could eat up to 7 whales at a time, with the devil being the only one that can slay it. It's also said it can shapeshift into a small fish, so when it gets caught by a fisherman's net, it can return to a regular size and swallow the ship whole. Forbes goes on to say, quote, "It is not known what this monster animal was, but whatever it was, it waged a war in both sea and land, against all and against each other." Now, many people believe the Loch Ness Monster is the evolution of this monster, but do you think these two look alike? It could be plausible, but I don't think so. All the way at our number 3 spot, we have the Umibozu. The Umibozu from Japanese lore directly translates to sea monk, and they are black humanoid giants with large glowing round eyes, only seen from the shoulders up. Strangely enough, they only appear when the water is completely calm. But when they do show up, the water changes violently. The Umibozu will attempt to sink your ship either by breaking it in half, or it even may demand you to give it a barrel. It'll use that barrel to pull water into your ship, sinking it slowly. However, you can get around this by offering it a bottomless barrel by cutting the bottom out. It'll get confused, and this is a time you can successfully escape. One theory says that they are spirits of the murdered priests who are thrown into the ocean by Japanese villagers. So it's pretty creepy stuff. At our number 2 spot, we have the Ukiturso. This creature is known as the ultimate savage, and its name directly translates to eternal torso. It somewhat resembles a gigantic octopus because of the tentacles that grow from their body that are both long and have suckers to them like an octopus arm. This creature tends to keep to themselves, but when they're provoked, this creature will grow dragon wings on their back and devour everything in its path. In the legend, Ikutorso is mentioned as the father of the diseases with Luviatar, the blind daughter of Tuoni, the god of death. The Scandinavian giants had the ability to shoot arrows which caused diseases in people. That's a whole different type of warfare. I mean, disease-dipped arrows. All the way at our number 1 spot, we have Cetus. Yet another terrifying and destructive Greek sea monster. Cetus is Poseidon's personal attack dog. Except it's a colossal sea monster again, sometimes that blends dragon and whale together. It is depicted as a large serpent-like monster with a reptilian head or maw. Greek mythology news. Poseidon is kind of a jerk. When the king and queen of Ethiopia dared to call their daughter more beautiful than the Nereid sea nymphs, he got super offended. Therefore, he sent his monster to either destroy the kingdom or devour the princess as a sacrifice. However, the hero Perseus was having none of that. Fresh off his last monster hunt, he is carrying the head of Medusa as come across the chained princess. As the massive beast rose from the sea to devour the princess, he lifted the head of Medusa and turned the colossal beast into stone.
Number 10, Barracuda Scare. When I was younger, my dad and I went deep sea fishing all the time. The creepiest thing that ever happened to me was when we decided to do a little more surface fishing further out on the open ocean, rather than fish for grouper and whatnot. So I'm sitting with my feet off the edge of the boat, and my dad hooks a fish. It seems pretty big based on the way it was pulling, so I look over to see if he needs help. Then something slowly brushes my legs. I looked down and there was a 4 to 5 foot barracuda brushing against my legs. I froze, and seconds later it shot off. When my dad felt the line go slack, he started reeling in faster. The barracuda had bitten off most of the fish. It was only a mouth on a hook, really. That came from Reddit user Your Monarch. Number 9, something big. But the creepiest story was a simple one. The crew was shark fishing off the bank of a smaller tanker ship, basically attaching meat chunks to hooks and throwing them off the back to trawl in the ocean. They were in Southeast Asia or Australia area. For fun, my dad made this large hook to use, possibly from steel alloy, and described it as being incredibly durable. They attached a large chunk of meat to it and threw it off the back. A while later, they hauled it back in, only to find the meat was gone and the hook bent completely straight. There was nothing it could have snagged on in the deep ocean as the boat was driving through. My dad and the crew were sufficiently unnerved to think that something large down there could bend a large hook like that. Number 8, lack of sleep. I've been fishing in Alaska for the last 6 summers with my dad. I've never seen anything unexplainable, but I have been creeped out a few times. A lot of it comes from lack of sleep, because we were up there for up to 60 hours at a time with no more than 4 hours between every time we put the net out. Really, the weirdest things are in my own head. I'll have waking dreams where I can't move or something very dangerous is happening. I sometimes wake up completely disoriented and nervous, which makes working hard. I should probably stop fishing. Says Reddit user Grooving Up Slowly. Number 7, bull shark ambush. One day while we were off the coast of North Carolina doing some grouper and snapper fishing, the bite suddenly fell off and everything disappeared off the scope. Everyone's rods bend over at the same time and we all had something enormous on our lines. After about 15 minutes of slowly bringing our lines up, we all had 15-foot long bull sharks on. They were completely calm, no thrashing or anything. The creepy part was, right below them in the water was a wall of bull sharks, and there had to be hundreds of them. They were just swimming in circles. We dehooked them and they slowly swam back with the giant school. We left. Reddit user Hostan. Number 6. Avoided emergency. The first time I went fishing with my dad and brother, we stood at the end of a pier, looking like dolts, not knowing what the heck we were doing. A nice guy on the opposite end of the pier came over and gave us a hand setting up. He also gave us some tips on casting off and then left us to it. After a while, my brother realized he had a bite and reeled it in. He pulled up a really ugly looking fish and was about to grab it off the line when the guy who had been helping us previously shouted across, "Don't touch that!" He came over and explained to us that it was a lesser weaver which has poisonous spines on it. He just cut the line and kicked it back alive before explaining that you can't end them in case they wash up on the beach. So if that guy is reading this, thanks for saving us a trip to A&E. Number 5. Shark under the kayak. I looked behind and below me and there was the biggest freaking bull shark I'd ever seen just undulating along under my kayak. It was the size of a fridge, over 10 feet. It was an absolute giant and it was gliding along silently under my kayak in 8 feet of water. I pulled up my paddle and coasted to a stop. It glouted out under the nose and did a full circle and made another pass under my yak before gliding off back to the deep channel. I radioed my bro and warned him of the monster that was around. This came from Reddit user Javari. Number 4. Angry eel. Creepiest thing when I was about 12. I was spearfishing on the reef near my house. Basically just being a stupid kid, trying to poke holes in things. Out of the corner of my eye, I see about a 3-foot moray eel swimming above the reef. I decided to try to spear it, and succeeded, sort of. Basically, I speared the very end of its tail. I panicked a little because the thing was long enough to swing around and bite me. But instead of doing that, it kind of thrashed around a little and then seemed to collect its senses, turn toward the point of the spear, bite down, and then pull its own tail off of the end points. Number 3. Boat being towed by fish. I worked as a commercial sailor for about 10 years and chartered boats as a kid. A captain I know was anchored amongst some of the other boats with lines out there when he started moving forward into the tide. He ended up having another boat go look, and it turned out a manta ray had slung along his anchor line and had gotten the anchor stuck on its head. I believe he ended up having to cut the anchor free, but this was a 30-foot inboard fishing boat, so the fact that he was being towed by a fish was pretty remarkable, says Reddit user Mercury Ballistic. Number 2. A rogue wave. The scariest thing that ever happened to me was probably a run-of-the-mill rogue wave. It happened while commercial snapper fishing off Florida. Conditions were well within the safety range of the 25-foot boat with probably 3 to 5 foot waves, nothing unusual for Florida during wintertime. All of a sudden I get sucked back in my seat as we passed into a very large waves trough. I was then thrown upward violently and nearly into the air and went out of my seat. I had to grab the stern gunwale so that I wouldn't fall the 7 to 8 foot drop that separated me and the guy I was just sitting next to. If the wave had been any bigger, he would have gone overboard into the nighttime swells, and there's a very good chance we would have lost him since we were anchored up. It's not supernatural, but it really is creepy to know on any day of the year the ocean can try to end you even though you're doing nothing unsafe, Reddit user Tishmaster had to say. Number 1. Shots fired. Buddy and me were out in a small john boat after midnight in a state-owned lake. This lake is relatively small. A group of people showed up at one of the public parking places and started a fire. They were noisy as hell, but we ignored them. Then they started cheering each other on and out came the rifles. We heard shots all around us. We immediately headed to the boat ramp, and we got close to the ramp, they got in their vehicle and drove off. Left the fire going on and everything. Scared the crap out of me for fear of being shot, said Redditor Wood Tick. With all of these things living in the past, it's a wonder how our ancestors survived long enough to bring us into existence. Number 10, Dunkleosteus. This 33-foot long armored fish from the Devonian era lacked teeth, but its jaw contained razor-sharp protrusions of bone that it could use to pierce and cut through its prey. These bones grew continuously, and as they did, the edges rubbed together with those of the opposing jaw, acting like self-sharpening shears. This would ensure the fangs were always ready to chomp into armored prey like arthropods, ammonites, and other fish. This 4-ton monster fish patrolled inshore waters and could snatch up prey by opening and closing its jaws within 50 to 60 milliseconds. If this thing came back nowadays, they'd probably make fishing the most dangerous profession in the world, along with our next entry. Number 9, Helicoprion. The mystery of this bizarre fish starts with a weird fossil and numerous attempts to figure out what it was and how to classify it. Helicoprion puzzled paleontologists and ichthyologists for over a century. The only remains of this creature up until 2013 were from a fossilized whorl of teeth. While most scientists agreed that the teeth belonged to the lower jaw, that didn't prevent the presumed location of the teeth from migrating around the body in sometimes fanciful arrangements that can be used in numerous illustrations and reconstructions. With the later discovery of some portions of a jaw, the location of its buzzsaw-like teeth were definitely determined to fill the lower jaw. Strangely, there were no upper teeth, so this creature could terrifyingly gum and bite you at the same time. The jaw would close, rotating the teeth backwards, much like a circular blade saw. It probably fed on the soft bodies of squid and other cephalopods. The whorl of teeth was formed as they continuously grew outwards, creating a spiral as it aged. The teeth at the beginning of the whorl being small and gradually increasing in size toward the end. Another fish with an equally odd and terrifying face, Edestus, had offset scissor-like jaws that protrude out of its face. No thank you. Number 8, Arthropleura. This is not something you want to see crawling around anywhere near you. Arthropleura was an 8.5-foot long millipede from the Carboniferous era, and though it was herbivorous, likely feeding on dead plant matter like modern millipedes, it still has scare factor. I'm burning the house down if I find this under my sink. Just because it won't try to eat you doesn't prevent it from being creepy while it scuttles about. Ugh. Fossil trackways have been discovered showing that Arthropleura could move and maneuver quickly, undulating hundreds of legs in rhythm to nauseate and disturb anyone watching. These are the largest known land invertebrates of all time, and it is unlikely that they had any predators, but it could probably rear up into a defensive posture and look you straight in the eyes. Number 7, Leviathan melvillei. This extinct whale was named for both the monstrous sea creature Leviathan from the Old Testament, that when he rises up the mighty are terrified, they retreat before his thrashing, and for Herman Melville, the author of the novel Moby Dick, a tale of an accursed white whale that terrorized Captain Ahab and eventually brought about his passing and the destruction of his ship and crew. This is an amazing namesake to live up to. The Leviathan melvillei is related to modern sperm whales like Moby Dick, and lived during the Miocene epoch. It was 45 to 57 feet long and had a 10-foot long skull that housed 40 14.5-inch long teeth. These are the longest teeth used for feeding known from any animal extinct or alive. They fed on large prey at the surface of the water, including other whales. This whale likely became so large because it was competing directly with Megalodon for food, who we'll get to a little bit later. Number 6, Spinosaurus. Spinosaurus is one of the most spectacular and horrible creatures that ever stalked the earth. It had an elongated skull, much like a crocodile, and a snout filled with approximately 64 straight conical teeth. Evidence suggests that it was a semi-aquatic, so there was nowhere to escape this fish and dinosaur-devouring monster. Spinosaurus is currently the largest of all known carnivorous dinosaurs, even larger than T-Rex and Gigantosaurus. While the exact size is debated, recent finds and studies suggest that Spinosaurus may have been 41 to 59 feet in length and weighed in excess of 20 tons. It had elongated neural spines that ran along its back, creating a sail-like structure that made it look even larger and more terrifying. Number 5. Titanoboa. For those of you with ophidiophobia, this one's for you. Titanoboa was a 42-foot long snake that lived during the Paleocene epoch. It likely hunted much like crocodiles do, lurking, partially submerged at the water's edge so that it could ambush thirsty, unsuspecting animals. It would strike from the water and wrap itself around its prey, delivering a crushing demise. It lived in the rainforests of South America, where temperatures were warmer and the tropics of today. This allowed the cold-blooded reptiles to grow larger than modern reptiles can. This snake would have Indiana Jones doing the Scooby-Doo and Shaggy run. Like sawing Scoob. Number 4. Gigantosaurus. Gigantosaurus was 43 feet long and larger than the size of a Tyrannosaurus rex, but only by 3 feet. It had a 5.2 foot long skull with 64 8-inch long compressed and serrated teeth that were made for slicing through flesh, though they were not capable of crushing bone like the teeth of the Tyrannosaurus. Gigantosaurus is from the Cretaceous period and lived in what is now Argentina. It was related to the nearly equally sized Carcharodontosaurus from Africa. Evidence suggests the possibility that Gigantosaurus was a pack hunter and that they hunted large sauropods. This would make it the only theropod that actively hunted sauropods. Another interesting feature is that the lower jaw was broadened slightly, allowing it to handle smaller prey. It's easy to imagine Gigantosaurus chomping down on some flesh of some goofy bipedal mammals if it had ever been given the chance. Number 3. Megalodon. This 59-foot-long shark lived and hunted in the same waters as Livyatan melville. It had massive 7-foot-wide jaws containing 5 rows of around 276 compressed, blade-like teeth that were made for cutting and grasping powerful prey. Sharks have skeletons made of cartilage that are not typically preserved in the fossil record, and so the jaws of the Megalodon and a few traces of fossils are all paleontologists have to build their hypothesis. The body shape of a Megalodon is likely similar to a larger and more robust great white shark. If a Megalodon exhibited ambush hunting behavior like great white sharks, it would have taken prey by surprise from below and made precision strikes to immobilize its prey with an amazingly strong bite. Sharks are also known for shaking their prey side to side to increase bite forces. Fossil evidence of teeth marks found on whale vertebrae suggests that Megalodon was an active predator of large whales. Their teeth are built with a structure that would rarely crack even if they hit the bone. Damn, that's crazy. Number 2. Jacalopterus. 3 words. Giant sea scorpion. Or 4 words. Less tasty looking lobster. That's right, this 8-foot-long arthropod lived in the water and had pincher claws. Frankly, all of the Eurypterids are scary as hell, and this entire video could be exclusively about how terrifying these things look. Many of them look eerily similar to the facehuggers from the Alien movie franchise. They are nightmare fuel. Jacalopterus had segmented bodies with multiple specialized limbs, some with spikes. They had spring-loaded claws to snatch up fish as they passed by, with the largest having an 18-inch spiked claw. Smaller sea scorpions are known to have crawled ashore to mate and even shed their outer skin. Imagine finding the molt of one of these monsters on the shore just before going swimming. Already with a sense of dread and paranoia, you distance yourself from the shore, and then you see a shadow in the murky waters. Number 1. Sarcosuchus. Sarcosuchus, whose literal name means flesh crocodile, gross, is an extinct genus of crocodiliform and distant relative of living crocodiles that lived during the early Cretaceous. From the late Hauterivian to the early Albian, 133 to 112 million years ago of what is now Africa and South America. The genus name comes from the Greek sarx, meaning flesh, and sochus, meaning crocodile. It was one of the largest crocodile-like reptiles, with the largest specimen of S. imperator reaching approximately 9 to 9.5 meters, or 29.5 to 31.2 feet long, and weighing up to 3.45 to 4.3 metric tons. It is known from 2 species, S. imperator from the early Albian Eras formation of Niger, and S. harti from the late Hauterivian of northeastern Brazil. The first remains were discovered during several expeditions led by the French paleontologist Albert Félix de Lapparent, spanning from 1946 to 1959 in the Sahara. These remains were fragments of the skulls, skull, vertebrae, teeth, and scutes. In 1964, an almost complete skull was found in Niger by the French CEA, but it was not until 1997 and 2000 that most of its anatomy became known to science, with an expedition led by the American paleontologist Paul Sereno discovered 6 new species, including one with about half the skeleton intact and most of the spine. Number 10. High pressure and hostile environment. The ocean's depths can exert tremendous pressure due to the weight of the water above. For every 10 meters of depth, the pressure increases by about 1 atmosphere, approximately 14.7 pounds per square inch. This means that at extreme depths, the pressure can become crushing, making it difficult to design and build equipment that can withstand these conditions. Submersibles and underwater vehicles need to be constructed with materials that can handle the pressure without collapsing. Number 9. Technological limitations. Creating equipment that can function effectively in the deep ocean requires specialized engineering. Seawater is highly corrosive, and the extreme pressure and low temperatures can wreak havoc on materials. Developing materials and technology that can endure these conditions is a significant challenge. Researchers also need to find a way to power equipment and collect data without being hindered by these adverse conditions. Number 8. Limited funding. Funding for scientific research and exploration is often limited, and there's competition for resources across various scientific fields. Ocean exploration competes with other high-profile endeavors like space exploration, medical research, and environmental conservation. The high costs associated with designing, building, and maintaining ocean exploration equipment, along with the expenses of research expeditions, can make it difficult to secure adequate funding for deep-sea exploration. Space exploration often captures public and political interest due to its inspirational and futuristic aspects, potentially leading to increased funding. In contrast, the mysteries of the deep ocean are less visible and less understood by the general public, which can lead to a lack of advocacy for increased funding. Number 7. Lack of public interest. Space exploration often captures the public's imagination due to its association with new frontiers, potential for extraterrestrial life, and the awe-inspiring visuals of celestial bodies. The deep ocean, on the other hand, lacks the same visual appeal and sense of exploration. While documentaries and educational efforts can help raise awareness, the distant and hidden nature of the deep sea makes it harder to generate widespread public interest compared to the grandeur of space. I mean, underwater, you can barely see a thing. Even with lights, it's just void. But in space, at least you got some pretty rocks to look at. Number 6. Communication challenges. In space exploration, communication is facilitated by using satellites to relay signals back to Earth. In ocean exploration, communication becomes significantly more challenging due to the properties of water. Water is dense and absorbs electromagnetic signals, making it difficult for signals to travel far distances without weakening or distorting. This can limit the real-time control and data transmission capabilities of underwater vehicles, making operations more complex, and sometimes requiring autonomous or pre-programmed systems. And this isn't to mention the fact that if you're deep underwater and communication is choppy, it's definitely more dangerous for the scientists, researchers. It's definitely more dangerous for the researchers and scientists and this guy who drives a submarine. It's just a whole thing. Number 5. Limited international collaboration. Space exploration often involves collaboration between multiple countries, combining resources, expertise, and funding. This collaboration helps share the cost and risks of ambitious projects. In contrast, deep-sea exploration can face challenges in international collaboration due to factors like geopolitical tensions, territorial disputes, and the vastness of the oceans in general. The lack of clear jurisdiction over international waters can create uncertainties regarding legal frameworks and resource ownership, potentially hampering cooperative efforts. Number 4. Environmental concerns. Deep-sea ecosystems are incredibly delicate and often poorly understood. The potential disruption caused by exploration activities such as deep-sea mining, oil and gas extraction, or the collection of biological specimens can lead to significant ecological damage. The slow growth rates and unique adaptations of many deep-sea species make recovery from disturbances a lengthy process. As a result, ethical and environmental considerations require careful planning and regulatory oversight to minimize negative impacts. I mean, just from research in the past, we've introduced whole ecosystems into North America and other places in the world. So I understand why we're going a little bit easy on the oceans now. Number 3, unpredictable conditions. The ocean environment is subject to unpredictable and rapidly changing conditions. Ocean currents, underwater geology, storms, and seismic activities can all pose risks to equipment and personnel involved in exploration activities. Planning and executing expeditions in such an environment require robust risk assessment, advanced forecasting, and adaptable technologies to ensure the safety of operations. Number 2, unknown returns on investment. Space exploration often presents opportunities for technological innovation and potential resource utilization, such as satellite communication technology and mineral resources on celestial bodies. In comparison, the tangible returns on investment from deep-sea exploration are less clear. While there is potential for deep-sea mining and bioprospecting, the economic viability and environmental sustainability of these activities are still being studied and debated. This uncertainty can make it challenging to attract private investment or government funding for extensive deep-sea exploration. To me, this is just kind of unfortunate. I mean, just because we're not getting something back doesn't mean we shouldn't study it, right? Number 1, legal and regulatory challenges. The complex legal landscape of the ocean poses challenges for exploration and resource exploitation. International waters are beyond the jurisdiction of any single country, leading to debates over who has the right to access and exploit resources. Developing a comprehensive legal framework that addresses environmental protection, resource management, and equitable sharing of benefits from deep-sea exploration requires international cooperation and negotiation. Number 10, 115 feet of shark. Some people think that Australian naturalist David Stead's account from his book Sharks and Rays of the Australian Seas recalls a harrowing encounter with Meg. Stead claims that in 1981 he spoke with a number of crayfish fishermen who, after spotting a shark in their fishing grounds off Broughton Island, were so petrified that they refused to set foot on solid ground for several days. They claimed to have witnessed an enormous shark surface in the fishing ground's deep waters and took the pots and moorings with it. That would be no easy task given that the crayfish pots were almost 3 feet in diameter and heavy with catch. When the men were questioned by Stead and the neighborhood fisheries inspector, Mr. Patton, they all admitted the shark was enormous. One said its head alone was at least as long as the roof on the wharf shed at Nelson's Bay. Many claimed that it was about 115 feet long. Others said that the water appeared to boil near the surface. They were all certain that it was a shark and not a whale because of its pure white coloring. Number 9, immense shark. Author B.C. Cartmel discussed an alleged incident that allegedly occurred in the 1960s off the edge of Australia's Great Barrier Reef in his 1978 book, Let's Go Fossil Shark Tooth Hunting, which, by the way, has a pretty original title. Cartmel claims that the involved sailors at first shied away from discussing the affair for fear of ridicule. But over time, they acknowledged that the captain and crew were horrified to see a massive white shark gently swim by their stranded ship as their 85-foot ship had to be forced to weigh anchor for engine repairs. It was about the size of the boat. It was not a whale, everyone on board agreed. The Megster, maybe. Most likely not. But whatever the sailors witnessed that day serves as evidence of how interesting the water is. Number 8, the Black Demon. The gigantic black shark spotted off Mexico's Baja coast is thought to be the Black Demon of Cortez. According to some reports, the huge boy may possibly be the same size as the extinct Megalodon. Fisherman Eric Mack claims that during one supposed encounter, the Black Demon rocked his boat and protruded its long tail 5 feet above the surface. Of course, even if the black demon is real, that doesn't necessarily indicate it's a megalodon. It may just as easily be a whale shark that feeds on plankton, or even a big great white with melanism. Number 7. Man-eating monsters. Zane Grey, a novelist and deep-sea angler, claimed to have interacted with a large shark, which some speculate might have been the Megalodon. Grey allegedly claimed to have seen one of the man-eating monsters of the South Pacific, a shark far larger than his 30 to 40 foot boat, according to the book Megalodon, Fact or Fiction by Rick Emmer. The shark was described as being yellow and green with a square head, immense pectoral fins, and a few white spots. To put it another way, not just a harmless white shark. Number 6. Satellite shark. Recently, a satellite image has drawn a lot of interest on TikTok as users assert that the extinct Megalodon can be seen lurking beneath the ocean surface as a giant shadow. The TikTok from an account devoted to eerie and unnerving encounters states the video below is satellite imagery. When you close your eyes, it resembles a shark. Zooming in on the shadow, the film emphasizes its immensity by comparing it to a 40-foot yellow bus. Many viewers are persuaded by the image that the extinct species still exists. One comment asks, why would it be impossible for animals to adapt? Humans had to adapt to all world disasters repeatedly. Someone else added, they're definitely still alive. We have only explored between 5 and 10% of the ocean's depth. People keep saying we would have found a Meg by now, but do you have any idea how little of the ocean we have discovered? A responder informed the doubters. Number 5. A modest 30-foot shark. The characters in a YouTube short assert that they think the enormous shark they ran into is 30 feet long. If they are correct, they have just encountered the world's longest great white. According to research thus far, Deep Blue, a well-known white shark, currently holds the record for the largest great white. Deep Blue measures 20 feet long, 8 feet wide, and weighs 2.5 tons. Although Deep Blue has been the subject of rumors since the 1990s, it wasn't until 2014 that researcher Mauricio Hoyos Padilla was able to film her off the coast of Guadalupe Island in Mexico while filming a section for Shark Week. Padilla posted a video of her to Facebook in 2015 and it quickly gained popularity. Big great white or small megalodon? You decide. Number 4. Shark on radar. When sea scanners detected what seemed to be a giant 50-foot megalodon below their boat, researchers were astounded. In the midst of the shark infestation ravaging US seas, an Instagram post reporting the purported discovery is currently making waves. Researchers at the Atlantic Shark Institute describe how they were all amused to see the scary figure emerge on their fish finder for several minutes during a recent shark research expedition. They initially believed it to be a megalodon, a 3-million-year-old supposedly extinct shark that served as the inspiration for the 2018 horror film Meg, based on the same named book. Based on the length of the image, we estimated the Meg to be about 50 feet long, weighing in at 40 tons, the ecstatic researchers wrote. The enormous mark, which appeared to be in the form of a huge shark, complete with a dorsal fin, is shown in the accompanying screenshot of the fish finder. Number 3. Sudden attack. Researchers were surprised when the black box washed up on a beach in Australia 4 months after they had tagged the healthy 9-foot great white to track its movements as part of its research. The device's data revealed a swift temperature increase from 7.6 Celsius to 25.5 Celsius, and a fast, abrupt 1,902-foot descent. The temperatures measured show that the shark entered another animal's digestive tract, according to the researchers, who said the data suggests it was consumed by something considerably larger. Number 2. Megamouth. Off the coast of San Diego, fishermen discovered 2 exceptionally rare megamouth sharks. Only a few hundred times throughout history have these sharks been observed. Val Costescu remarked, "We didn't completely absorb the peculiarity of the scenario until afterwards." Contescu, David Stabile, and Andrew Chang were fishing about 30 miles offshore when they filmed a shark swimming beneath their boat. Chang was quick to identify the endangered species. Right when we got close, he threw out, "Oh my gosh, I think that's a megamouth," Stabile added. To verify what they had seen, the group brought their video to Scripps Institution of Oceanography. According to Stabile, I believe that with each person we were introduced to, the gravity of everything began to sink in with us that we truly had an out-of-this-world unique experience. According to Scripps Institution of Oceanography researcher Dovi Kassav, megamouth sharks are so uncommon that it is unknown how many are in existence. They spend the majority of their time in deep water far from the shore, claimed Kassav. We don't see them very often, so there are still a lot of questions regarding where they spend their time. Number 1. Megalodon on the ocean floor. The question of whether the giant prehistoric Megalodon shark is still alive in the deep ocean has once again come up in light of footage of a large deep sea shark. The video depicts what some have claimed to be a common sleeper shark, a predatory deep sea scavenger that can reach remarkable lengths of 7 meters. But even this enormous species would have been overshadowed by the Megalodon, whose estimated maximum length ranged from 14 to 20 meters according to estimations based on fossilized teeth. Although the species may have died out about 3 million years ago, many individuals continue to believe that the monster might still be hiding in the ocean's depths where humans can't see it.
The Antikythera mechanism. The Antikythera mechanism is an ancient artifact that has long fascinated scientists and historians alike. It is believed to be the world's first mechanical computer, and it was discovered in a shipwreck off the Greek island of Antikythera, where it has been buried under 45 meters of water. Today, the mechanism is housed at the National Archaeological Museum in Athens, where it continues to captivate visitors with its intricate design and advanced level of technology. Upon examining the mechanism, experts were amazed by the level of craftsmanship and sophistication it displayed. The device is made up of a box with dials on the outside and a complex assembly of gears mounted inside. It is estimated to be about as complex as an 18th century top-notch clock, despite being over 2,100 years old. In fact, the level of expertise and attention to detail seen in the mechanism's construction was not seen again in Europe until the development of mechanical astronomical clocks in the 14th century. But the real mystery of the Antikythera mechanism lies in how it came to be. Based on what we know of ancient Greek technology at the time, it shouldn't even exist at all. There are no known writings or records of similar devices from the period of its creation, leading some to wonder if it may be from an advanced as yet undiscovered civilization. Whatever the cause may be, the Antikythera mechanism remains a truly captivating and unexplained artifact that continues to puzzle experts to this day. Number 9. The London Hammer. The London Hammer is a small hammer that has been the subject of much debate and speculation among those who believe in ancient civilizations and advanced technology. And this is all because it's supposedly 400 million years old. Yeah, you heard that right. The hammer was found in London, Texas in 1936 by a couple who were out walking, and they noticed it sticking out of a rock. The rock in which the hammer was found is dated to be around 400 million years old, which has led some to believe that the hammer is evidence of an ancient civilization with advanced technology. And yes, it's only a hammer, so I don't know how advanced this could actually be. There are several theories about the London hammer and its possible origins. Some believe that it is a tool made by an ancient civilization, while others believe it is a modern tool that was somehow placed inside of the rock. There are also those who believe that the hammer is all just a big hoax, created in order to mislead people into believing in these ancient civilizations and advanced technology. Despite the many theories about this hammer, there is no conclusive evidence about its true origins. Other scientists have found that the hammer does contain unusual features that could have been created using modern technology, which leaves the questions of its origins up for debate. Number 8. The Disc of Sabu. The ancient Egyptian civilization is filled with wonders and mysteries that have puzzled historians and archaeologists for centuries. One such enigma is the so-called Disc of Sabu, which is a circular stone object that was discovered in 1936 by a British Egyptologist, Mr. Walter Brian Emery, in the tomb of Prince Sabu. Prince Sabu was the first dynasty governor and son of Pharaoh Enedjib. Measuring 610 millimeters in diameter and 104 millimeters in height, the artifact is made of metasiltstone and has 3 thin curving lobes around its periphery, as well as 3 biconvex holes separating the lobes from the rim. In the center of the disc is a thin tube that is roughly 10 centimeters in diameter. And despite numerous studies and theories, the true purpose of the disc remains a complete mystery. Some experts believe that it may have been used as a musical instrument, while others think it is a battery used for electrotherapy. The fact that the artifact was found in a royal tomb suggests it may have held some sort of special significance, but the exact nature of the significance remains unknown. Whatever its true purpose, the Disc of Sabu is a testament to the ingenuity and creativity of the ancient Egyptians, who were able to create objects that continue to intrigue us for thousands of years. Number 7. The Baghdad Battery. The Baghdad Battery is an ancient artifact that has puzzled archaeologists for years, dating back to the Parthian period, which is from 250 BC to 224 AD. This mysterious object consists of a clay jar with a copper cylinder and an iron rod inside. It has long been speculated that the Baghdad battery was used for some kind of electrical device, perhaps even a primitive form of a battery. The theory that the Baghdad battery was used as a source of electricity was first proposed in 1938 by Willem Koenig, the director of the National Museum of Iraq. Since then, various researchers have attempted to recreate the device in order to understand its true purpose. Some have suggested it may have been used for electrotherapy, while others believe that it may have been used as a galvanic cell to electroplate objects. Despite numerous attempts to recreate and understand the mystery of the Baghdad battery, its true purpose still is unknown. The lack of any written history or documentation from the time period has made it difficult to determine exactly how the device was used. Number 6. The Voynich manuscript. The Voynich manuscript is a mysterious document dating back to the 15th century that has confounded researchers for decades. Considered to be the world's most mysterious book, it is written in an unknown script by an unknown writer. As well, the book is written in an unknown language and filled with intricate drawings of plants, stars, and other seemingly unrelated illustrations. So the meaning and purpose of the manuscript has remained a mystery for a long time. Some suggest that the manuscript was written by medieval monks, while others believe it could be the work of an alchemist or a scientist. It was first discovered in 1912 by rare book dealer Wilfred M. Voynich, who believed it to be a coded message written by the famous scientist Roger Bacon. Since its discovery, numerous attempts have been made to decode the document, but none have been successful. Many believe that the text is written in a constructed language or code, and some have even suggested that it could be the example of extraterrestrial communication. Despite numerous theories and attempts at decoding, the Voynich manuscript remains one of the world's most enduring mysteries. Its enigmatic illustrations and strange language continues to fascinate researchers and the general public alike, and has inspired numerous works of fiction and speculation ever since its discovery. In the hump of our list, we have the Tamil Bell. The Tamil Bell is a fascinating and mysterious ancient artifact that has intrigued experts for centuries. It was first discovered in the 19th century in the ruins of a temple in Tamil Nadu, India, and is made of a metal alloy that has not been identified. The bell is decorated with intricate carvings and inscription in an unknown language, and is thought to be around 2,000 years old. In 1870, the inscriptions were identified as Ancient Tamil, which is a language that hadn't been used for hundreds of years. The inscriptions were translated to the bell of the ship of Mahadin Baksh, indicating that the owner was a Muslim Tamil of great stature from a famous Indian shipping company. In 1940, the age of the Tamil Bell was estimated to be 400 to 500 years old, dating back to the period between 1400 to 1500 AD. This has led some people to believe that there was outside contact with New Zealand hundreds of years ago before English Captain Thomas Cook arrived in 1769. However, there is little evidence to support this theory, and the true mystery of the Tamil Bell still remains a mystery. Others believe it to be a religious artifact made by an ancient civilization, while others believe it to be a tool or device used for some unknown purpose. Number 4. The Bagon Pipes. The Bagon Pipes are a series of iron pipes that has been found in the Qinghai province of China near Mount Bagon. These pipes range in size from toothpicks to the size of a football field, and they're estimated to be around 150,000 years old. This is a pretty big deal because the area wasn't even inhabited by humans until around 30,000 years ago, according to many Chinese historians. So who built these pipes and for what purpose? That's the question that has been puzzling researchers for years. Some believe that they may have been built by an ancient civilization or even from extraterrestrial beings. The Chinese Academy of Social Sciences has not dismissed the possibility, with researcher Yang Ji stating that the pyramid located near the pipes may have been created by intelligent creatures. Other theories include the possibility that the pipes are the result of iron-rich magma forcing its way up through the Earth's fissures, or that they are simply fossilized tree roots that have accumulated over time. The odd thing is that the pipes have also been found to contain 8% of unidentified material, as well as the residue of radioactive material. The true mystery and origin of the Bagon Pipes remains a mystery, but it certainly is an intriguing and unexplained phenomena that continues to capture the attention and imagination of many. Number 3. The Piri Reis Map. The Piri Reis Map is a historical document that has garnered much attention and controversy over the years, more specifically for showing that Antarctica was ice-free. Created in the early 16th century by Ottoman Turkish admiral and cartographer Piri Reis, the map is known for its detailed and accurate depiction of the coast and features of the New World. This included South America, the Caribbean, and parts of the east coast of North America. In addition to these features, the map also includes notes of the geography, climate, and indigenous people of the regions depicted. However, it is the depiction of the northern coast of Antarctica on the Piri's map that has sparked the most controversy. According to the map, the northern coast of Antarctica is shown as being ice-free, which some believe suggests that the continent was mapped before it was covered in ice. This idea has been met with skepticism, as there is no historical or scientific evidence to support it. In fact, geological evidence suggests that the latest date that the Queen Maud landed in Antarctica could have been charted as an ice-free state is around 4000 BC. Whatever is the truth about the Piri's map, one thing is for certain: it continues to question everything we thought was true about Antarctica. Number 2, the Dropa stones. In 1938, an expedition led by archaeologist Dr. Chipute in China made an intriguing discovery in a nearby cave. Buried under layers of dust, the team found hundreds of stone discs scattered throughout the cave. The discs were about 9 inches in diameter and had a circle cut into the center, and it featured an obvious spiral groove around it. Initially, there seemed to be nothing particularly special about the disc, but upon further examination, it became clear that they're eerily similar to phenograph records. It is believed that these stones are more than 10,000 years old. The spiral grooves on the disc turned out to be made of tiny hieroglyphs, and when these were studied and translated, it was revealed that the discs told the story of spaceships that had crashed into the mountains, piloted by people who referred to themselves as the Dropa. This interpretation was made by a Chinese researcher who announced its findings to the world. However, his announcement was met with ridicule from the scientific community, and this caused him to go into self-imposed exile in Japan. The Soviet magazine Sputnik later reported on an experiment in which the discs were placed on a special turntable and were observed to vibrate or hum in an unusual rhythm, as if an electrical charge was passing through them. Despite this, further research was not made public, and it is unclear if the Dropa stones still exist or if they're even real in the first place. Ernst Wegerer, an Austrian engineer, claims to have seen and photographed 2 of the stones, but they and the manager who allowed them to view them have since disappeared, adding to the mystery surrounding the artifact. Number 1, the Roman dodecahedron. The Roman dodecahedron is a mysteriously crafted metal object that has puzzled archaeologists for centuries. These 12-sided objects have been found at dozens of sites across northern Europe, dating back to the 1st and 5th century CE. But their purpose still remains unknown. More than 100 of these dodecahedrons have been discovered, ranging in size from about the size of a golf ball to slightly larger than a baseball. Each one is hollow and has 12 equally sized faces, each with a hole of varying diameter. Despite the obvious craftsmanship that went into these objects, there is no written documentation of them in historical sources. As a result, there has been many theories about the purpose of them. Some believe that they are used as a military banner ornament or some type of weapon, such as the head of a mace or a metal bullet for a handheld sling. However, these theories have been largely dismissed as the objects are too lightweight to be effective weapons. Others think that they may have been used for education or as a measuring tool for fabrics. One researcher even proposed that they may be used as a rangefinder by the Roman military.
I've been shallow water diving before, and it's a pretty chill experience. I wonder what those deep divers found. Number 10, an ancient computer. That's right, the Antikythera mechanism probably existed long before Microsoft or Apple. It is thought to be the oldest example of a computer and was found on the Antikythera shipwreck off the coast of the Greek island of the same name, somewhere between 1900 and 1901. The Antikythera is an analog computer that was created to do a number of tasks, including forecasting eclipses and astronomical positions. Since so much of this era's technological innovations have been lost to time, such sophisticated technological applications did not reappear in European historical artifacts until the 14th century. The National Archaeological Museum of Athens is now showing it. Number 9, rocket engines. Several Apollo rockets were launched into orbit around the Earth and Moon in the late 1960s and early 1970s, and their engines, which propelled each booster's first stage, fell to the ocean floor, where they were thought to have vanished forever. However, they have finally been found owing to Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos and his privately funded operation. The parts were found in 2012 and have been restored over the course of 2 years. They are now at display at Seattle, Oregon, United States, at the Museum of Flight. Although the motivation for Bezos' decision to contribute millions of his own funds to the project is unclear, the press has speculated that he did it merely because he could. Number 8. The world's oldest city. Some researchers think that the ruins of a lost city that was thought to be the oldest city ever unearthed were found in the Gulf of Cambay off the coast of India in 2001. Sculpture fragments, human remains, works of art, and even wooden furniture have been among the artifacts discovered. One piece of wood that was inspected was believed to be at least 9,500 years old. Scientists and archaeologists are still trying to figure out exactly what time period the city would have been in, which is shrouded in mystery. Number 7. A train yard. A locomotive cemetery was found in 1985 off the American state of New Jersey. Since they were erected in the 1850s, neither the reason they were dumped into the ocean nor the fact that they existed at all were known. According to historians, they either accidentally fell off a barge or were intentionally flung off a ship to prevent it from sinking in choppy waters. They are rusty but still in excellent shape and have grown to be a well-liked location for wreck diving. Number 6. American Stonehenge? Okay, so this wasn't discovered in the ocean, it was actually found in a lake, but it's still very strange. A group of stones organized in the form of a circle were found in Lake Michigan in 2007 at a depth of around 40 feet. Pictures show that they aren't all that different from other weird stone configurations found around the world, especially when compared to Stonehenge, England. However, their purpose, age, and significance are all still unknown. Number 5. Treasure. In 2010, Florida amateur treasure hunter Jay Miskovich found more than 10,000 emeralds off the shore of Key West. He believed he had found the jackpot of a lifetime because they are thought to be worth $500 million, and his find garnered national attention. When the federal government of the United States learned of this, they gave him temporary possession of the diamonds, preventing him from lawfully selling them. Unfortunately, Miskovich ended his own life in 2013 due to financial ruin and his inability to cash in on his fortune. The ownership of the treasure has not yet been determined in court. Number 4. An ancient city in Egypt. Under the sea, the ancient city of Alexandria, which Cleopatra reigned as Egypt's last pharaoh, is almost entirely intact. It is thought that a number of natural calamities, such as earthquakes and tidal waves, caused the city to submerge underwater. It was unearthed in 1998 after being hidden for nearly 1,600 years. Recently, there have been plans to construct underwater tubes all across the city, turning it into the first underwater museum in the world. Number 3. A UFO? In 2011, the Baltic Sea anomaly was found by the self-funded treasure hunting company Ocean X. It is an oddly formed rock formation that is located on the floor of the northern Baltic Sea, and many people have suggested that it looks like an alien saucer. Other theories have suggested that it could be the ruins of a German submarine base or perhaps an anti-submarine device from WW2. But according to a number of scientists, despite its peculiar look, it is probably just an odd rock formation generated by good old Mother Nature, and it is highly doubtful that it was built by humans or extraterrestrials. Number 2. Sea monsters. We can now dive and transmit cameras further into the water than ever before, and some of the most bizarre findings have been sea critters with incredibly bizarre appearances, also known as sea monsters. Just observe the appropriately titled blobfish. This creature, which dwells at the ocean's lowest bottom, is typically only observed by people while diving or if they are unintentionally captured in deep sea fish nets. Number 1. The RMS Republic. It may not seem strange that the RMS Republic was discovered and explored in 1981, but it is strange that there may be treasure at the bottom of the ocean. Many people think that the ship perished carrying valuable materials, some of which could be valued up to $1 billion today. She allegedly had gold coins worth at least $250,000 in the United States, according to one rumor, or $3 million as a loan to the Imperial Russian government, according to another. Martin Bay Earl and his son Grant have teamed up to search for the treasure in billion-dollar wreck after failing to do so in the 1980s. They are determined to find it and take ownership of it.